So on today's podcast, we've got Evenwave, which is a good friend of mine. I've been talking to him now for probably a couple of years. And I used to mess his name up all the time and call him Evenwave. But I had to keep repeating in my head before I started it, like Evenwave instead of Evenwave.
I think it sounds cooler when you say Evenwave just because your accent. Like I've never corrected you when you said it because I just like the way it sounds when you say
it. Well, when I read it, man, I just thought your name was Evan. And
yeah. You're not the first person who's like just thought my name was Evan, I guess.
Yeah, and I just thought you put wave on the end of it to sound cool. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's even though.
Yeah. So man, like when I first come across you, like you've been in Gala games now for probably as long as what I have. You bought a node as well, a founder's node, is that correct?
Yeah. I've got one node.
So when do you think that you entered the community? Like roughly a year.
I went back and looked not too long ago. It was like I know that I think I learned about Gala around July, and then it was probably maybe September, October before I actually like hopped in the Discord. And actually Gravy Gang was one of the first places, other like I discovered Gala Discord, and then I forget how, maybe like that guilds channel. And
yeah.
I was probably hungry that day and the name sounded enticing and I just clicked on it. And then honestly, like you were one of the first people who made me realize the potential of this space like 2 years ago. I mean, we just started talking, and I was just kind of like dipping my toes in Web3 gaming. Didn't really know what to expect, and you're like one of the first people who like actually made me see like the potential of it. And so,
oh, well, that's cool, man.
thanks.
So we'll like your introductory. So hopefully nothing turns pear shaped, and we don't look silly for bringing you on board. Because
Yeah, you were.
When we first got in, man, I was like Town Star, and then it was talk of Mirandus. So it was like, like I don't even think like spider tanks. I'm not sure if when you got in they were talking about spider tanks, but spider tanks wasn't even like a thing at all. Like when I first got in.
Yeah, it was Town Star was I remember that was the first game I started playing from Gala Games. And I probably bought more like Town Star NFTs than I would have like, in retrospect, because I was just like I got addicted to that game and then I discovered Spider Tanks. And I probably would have gone harder into Spider Tank because I don't ever play Town Star anymore because I don't have time, even though I still like that game. But I went back and looked at some old messages a while back, just for fun. And I like that was like some of the first stuff that we were talking about, like me, you, Scuzzy, Oaks, all these people. We were all playing Townstar, and I think it was because back then the beta test for Spider Tanks, they would kind of turn it off and turn it back on, and it would maybe last for like 2 weeks or something like that. So we would get to play Spider Tanks for 2 weeks, and it was like really special whenever we would get to. And then they would turn it off again. But Townstar was always running, so that was my first Gala game.
Yeah, well, as far as I remember, and I could be wrong, but they used to take it down a lot for maintenance and add new NFTs. But like eventually the integration got better, and then they sort of just added NFTs, and then it was a slight update, and then it was ready to rock and roll. So like it's interesting, man, because like there's people that got in like well before I was in, and they were buying nodes for like around the 500 USD mark. And at that point in time, like there wasn't even really Townstar. It was more like the idea of Townstar. Like when we come in, it was more like, well, Townstar you can play, but then you've also got, Mirandus that's on the horizon at some point. And then not that long after, it was Spider Tank. So like we got in at a good time because it looked like it had a lot of momentum. And as time's gone on, man, like how many games do they have essentially promised now in the store? Like probably 12 or 15. I haven't even counted.
I want to say it's like 23 or something like that, isn't it? I thought it was like way more than that. At least like what they've said is coming.
Yeah.
I don't know how many actually display like in the store right now.
Yeah. I was talking more like the tiles in store, like how many are there? I think it's like maybe 12 to 15.
Probably like 14 would be my guess.
Yeah. So like with Spider Tanks, man, like you're probably one of the biggest OGs as far as tanks and definitely like tank knowledge. Like what made you look at Spider Tanks and be like, yep, this is a game for me?
I've actually thought about that because I'm one of those people that I tend to just find one game that I like, and then I just stick with that one game. I don't play a whole lot of other games. The game before Spider Tanks that was that for me was Rocket League,
Yeah,
and to me, Rocket League and Spider Tanks are kind of similar in the way that they're both like fairly simple games, and they're both just like infinitely replayable. You can just keep getting better and getting better, and it's also like short, kind of 5 minute ish matches. Um, all those kind of things. I guess those are initially the things that sort of drew me in. Plus, I thought it was a cool concept for a game. It looked fun to play, and that was actually the thing that made me like really check out Gala was whenever I heard about Gala. I think the first thing I watched was a an on-chain gaming video, and it was him playing the very first beta. Which,
yeah,
if you go back and look at it, it looks completely different than it does now. Like, it just looks like a different game. And even that very first beta, I was instantly just like, I want to play that game.
yeah.
And so I eventually did.
Yeah, well, it's funny, man, like how many people have been brought into the space by on-chain gaming, because like I've only known of the guy for maybe 3 months. Like everyone else is like, oh yeah, he's the one that introduced me to like blockchain gaming and stuff. And I was just like, oh yeah, cool. Like I didn't know who he was a lot of the time when they used to speak about him, but he does seem to make pretty good content. And I think as far as like crypto gaming's concerned, he's probably the biggest account out there,
Probably.
which is impressive. But when you actually look at it compared to traditional gaming and stuff, it's like you can tell how far we are behind, because like, you know, a traditional gaming thing, just for an average YouTuber or like even a Twitch streamer might have, you know, maybe 500,000 or a million subs or followers. And then with, you know, our biggest in crypto gaming, I think his counts around like the 150,000 mark. So like when people go,
Yeah.
we're early, like that's, you know, factually correct when you look at the biggest account, you know what I mean? Like I think we need to get to a place where it's not blockchain gaming. It's like it's just gaming, and then the blockchain's on the back end, and you don't even really know that it exists, other than the fact when you sell like an NFT. That would,
Right. Yeah.
mm,
Where it's almost indistinguishable. I know what you mean. I think it's going to take something like that too. Even just for crypto in general. I think, the majority of people um, right now still kind of have trouble wrapping their head around crypto. And
mm-hmm.
I think it's just because everyone has always thought of crypto as just like an investment vehicle, when it's a technology. When you use it as a technology for its intended purpose, it makes way more sense. I think
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense as an investment vehicle.
Well, that's the thing that's impressed me with Spider Tanks, man, because it's got like really good integration now as far as like upgrading your tank and all the rest of the stuff. It's like everything's sort of onboarded in the actual game itself. Like the only thing that I could see like improving is like actually putting where you buy the components for the tanks in the actual game itself as well. So then you don't have to like close down the game, buy all your stuff, wait for it to all process, and then jump back in.
I'm sure they'll eventually do that. That would be amazing
Yeah.
because it is kind of a pain in the ass to have to go back and go to the store. But at least like Jiri has been operating really quickly now, and it's just like instant now. Whenever you purchase something, you don't even have to wait anymore.
Yeah, I did notice
And
that.
I even found that say you have two monitors, you can have the store on the other screen, and you still have the game up, and you can buy something, and then you can just go into the shooting range and come back out, and it'll be in there. So it's
Oh,
like
so it sort of like
pretty quick.
refreshes it going into the shooting range. I
Yeah,
wonder if
it's quicker than closing the client.
I wonder if it'd be the same like going into a game and then going back, like having a quick game while your stuff processes. Like, because
Yeah.
like I went off tanks for a little while, man, because for me it become a bit stagnant. But with this latest update, and I'll be the first to say it, like it's actually a lot more fun because you got the missions now, which people have become accustomed to with like Fortnite and other pretty much AAA games. So like, you know, like we don't really have long attention spans, man. Like you want to get that little micro dose of a pat on the back, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you constantly like with the missions, it's cool because you can see what you got to do and then just go out and get that. get that achievement, and then you're getting rewarded with components, which are fairly expensive. So like that integration is really, really good, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, it just adding those extra little missions just really, I don't know, it gives you something extra to grind for. Like you said, it was like the repetitive nature of tanks, back then, the older version of tanks. I could see how it could be boring for some people. But you start adding like different, extra things you can do in there. Like one of them, the MAF app, uh, those like extra little side quests just, I think, really add something else to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I want to talk about MAF as well, but we'll get to that in a minute because I want to ask you a couple more questions about tanks. But like with spider tanks, man, like if you're like, how do you think now, like the matchmaking and everything's going with the latest update?
I feel like it started to get better for like 2 or 3 days. And then a new flood of new people started coming in, and then it kind of started to get a little bit worse again, just because there was just so many new people playing. Um, but that 2 or 3 days where I felt like it got a little bit better, uh, gave me some hope that, because I feel like eventually those new people are going to come in and be the new, bronze, silver, gold, and then it'll kind of help to fill out the ranks some more. And then I think that in itself will help improve matchmaking once all the ranks kind of get filled out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know for me, like, and I'll explain why it got a bit stagnant for me back, like in the earlier days. It's like I originally played the very first beta, like whatever the first play test was for everyone to play, that's the one I played. Like, I don't know if they had like a closed alpha or something, but or even if I played the alpha, but I think it was available to everyone.
Was it?
But, but when I first started playing, like I used to like playing sniper. So, and then they sort of didn't come out of a sniper NFT. I don't even know if they got one now, do they?
No, that's the one I'm waiting on too. Like we've been talking about this for like 2 years. Like I remember like 2 years ago, we were like, I can't wait for sniper rifle to come, and it's like,
because for me, man, that's the funnest gun because like you got to predict because you're doing such a long shot. Like you got to be like, oh, where are they moving? You know what I mean? And like
yeah,
when you do hit that shot, it feels good because you know how much like how calculated you have to be to get it. And then
yeah,
and then to think of the expression on the person's face like that you hit them with that long shot also makes me happy because like a lot of the time you wouldn't even be in frame and all they see is a bullet coming at them and then they're dead.
exactly. And the projectile speed is so fast too. Like it's got to have one of the fastest projectile speeds. And I don't know. I think it's the most fun weapon. I've never gotten to play in an actual match with an actual like good upgraded one, so I'm really looking forward to that whenever it comes out. That's the one. That's the one that I've been like saving for. And I feel like whenever it does come out, I'm just gonna main that one all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I will too, man. So we'll be like the sniper crew. We might have to get somebody else that's running snipe as well, so then we can have like a whole snipe team and see how that goes.
Do it. I've played 3 sniper rifles before on a team, and it's actually pretty strong.
Yeah. It'd be good if you focus fired someone. Like, I can't remember what the damage is now, if they've probably nerfed it a bit last time it was used, but like you could almost one shot someone
Yeah,
back in the original days.
yeah. I'm sure like the ancient is going to be like that.
Yeah. So like in regards to MAF, man, like they've got an app. Like I haven't downloaded it yet. I've sort of felt a bit bad like participating in that ecosystem for the fact that I run
Yeah.
another guild. But yeah, I was thinking of downloading it. And with the MAF thing, like I was on Twitter the other day and I think Timbo sliced something. I hope I don't gut what he said, but I think he said something like that he's got 15 ancient tanks up for grabs. I'm not sure if that's 15 tanks that like I'm guessing it's maybe to rent out or something like that. Like he
Mhm.
direct like allows you to use it. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Or you're not sure?
yeah. It's okay. So on our app, we have a leaderboard, and the leaderboard can read your Discord presence, and it can tell like, if you get when you're getting wins and losses and stuff like that. So you can just play spider tanks just like normal, and the app awards you points based on your performance and stuff like that. Well, you get more points for a win than you do a loss. But so as you climb the leaderboard, uh, in a 1 week period, at the end of that, the top 15 will win a contract to pilot an ancient tank for a week. So basically, like, if you're top 15 the first week, you'll get an ancient to play the next week. And then, there's also a few other ways. There's more than 15, because he's giving away some in the MAF Discord too. He's been doing like a riddle just about every day, where if you can answer the riddle, first person to answer it gets the pilot ancient for the day. He's been doing something like that too. So it's not the only way to get an ancient, to rent an ancient for MAF, but the most fun way is by participating in the leaderboard, I think, because it's like another one of those side quests that it adds to your experience playing the game. And that's really what our goal is at MAF, is to try to just enhance your experience as you're playing these Web3 games.
Yeah, I like the idea of it, man. Like, and even the app too looks like really crispy. Like, from everything that I've seen with it, like, it's really crisp. It seems to function as intended, which is good. And like anything that you can add, man, as far as achievements or anything like that, it's gonna pretty much create a more active user base, especially if you get to roll around in an ancient. Like, I'm sure Scuzzy knows the difference. Like, I don't know the difference between like earnings as far as Silk, if you had like a common that was max level in comparison to an ancient that's max. Like, do you know roughly like the victory points you get for a common max compared to a?
You're just like, I swear, you're just softballing me, and people are going to think this is scripted. But that's another thing you can do on MAF app is we have calculators. If you go to the workshop, this was not scripted, by the way. He's softballing.
Well, I don't know, man, because I haven't used
we have a victory points calculator that Deadly made this, and you can put in your rank, you can put in how many wins you got, whether you supercharged or not. There's all kinds of different things, and put in the upgrade qualities, and it'll tell you how much victory points you will earn with that setup. If you get, there's all kinds of variables. Your honor, there's several, but it'll spit out a number, and it'll even tell you, like, in USD amount, what that is. So if you have, it's a really good way to wrap your head around kind of how the Spider Tanks economy works. That's how I did it, was just by playing with this calculator and just seeing, like, okay, well, if I'm Mythic 2 and I have a common and it's got 12 greats and 18 perfects on it, like, I'll earn this much. So it's just I don't know, it's very useful, and it's also a nice little thing to play around with and just kind of figure out how everything works.
Well, I download the app, man. I have a look at it myself as well. I noticed last night I was playing Spider Tanks, and I went from, like, I don't know what all the ranks are called, but I'm just going to call it by color. I went the gold rank, and then I went up to blue.
Right.
And like gold rank, I think I was earning around maybe 2,200 victory points per win, like for the first win. And then when I went up to the blue rank, which I don't know what that one's called, but
champion.
Yeah, champion. So I went to champion 1, I think it was. And like, I went to 2,700 victory points for the first win. So like, I'm definitely earning more for being a higher rank.
Yeah, it's pretty substantial too, as you move up the ranks. I've played it Aspirer, and it just, you earn nothing down there. I played it Deity, and that's just like your max earnings.
So I got another question for you, what's like hot on my mind. Like, I noticed when I was doing the drop pods last night that it actually had like a little side window, like a drop down box where you could actually pick what rank you want your tank to go to. And I had mine on unranked. So does that still go to other people, or is that only going to be an unranked? Do you know?
I would assume it's unranked and above. Like, if you do unranked, that's everyone. I think the rank you select is the limit.
Okay.
So, like, if you select,
like guaranteeing that it's only going to be used for unranked.
Only unranked.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm only going to get new players. You know what I mean? So I was a bit afraid about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Like, if you select champion 2 or something like that, it's only going to give you champion 2 and aboves.
Yeah. So, like, what's the real use of doing that, though, man? Like, you don't know, like someone in the higher rank, like they're playing with other people that are relatively good at as well. So it's not guaranteed for wins. Like, is it just as far as like victory points? They're going to get more of a split between it, which means they
Yeah, I think
so.
I think so. I think they just really did it to be able to give the captains like an extra layer of control. Because say you have an ancient tank and you spent a lot of money on this and you want it to be played by good players in high level matches, um, that are playing on ancient maps, like all those factors that go into it to result in the highest level of earnings. But then again, like you said, maybe there's one deity team on that's just crushing the servers and no other deities can get any other wins. Well, then maybe give it to champs and mythics and stuff like that, and then they can play lower level matches and then you kind of earn a tier or two less than that. So I
Yeah.
think it's just another level of control that they just wanted to give to the captains. I
Well,
like that they did that.
I think for me, because I'm not sure how like swamped it is for as far as like the drop pods, I think I'll just go unranked just to make sure that someone's actually using it.
Yeah.
I'll play it safe because
I've never set a limit on mine before. I'll always do unranked. I mean, whoever. Like, I don't
so
care.
so with the tanks when you're doing the drop pod, like I've only just gotten back into it, so I'll ask you the questions that I don't know. But like if you're renting a tank, which I haven't done before either, um, do you get to choose what tank you want to rent, or is it just random?
Uh, right now, no. If you're using the random rental system in the garage, like where you go in the garage and click pilot up at the top, um, that'll give you a random tank, and you can get anything from an ancient to a level 0 common. Uh, if you now that direct rentals are available, you can go into like the looking for pilot channel in Gala. We have one in MAF, and usually there's going to be a captain who's saying, like, I have this build, who wants to run it? And there's pilots, posting like, I'm this rank, here's my win rate. They do like a screenshot of their rank and win rate or something. And they say they're looking for a tank. And usually, I mean, I haven't noticed necessarily like one more than the other, like way more pilots than captains. It seems like there's a really good amount of captains out there who want to rent their tanks out. So if you want like a specific build, usually you can go into those channels and find somebody who'll rent it to you.
Yeah, I seen a Gonzo tank the other day in there, and it was like level 0, no upgrades, and it was like common or something, I think. And I was like, I wonder how much he's making from that. Like, I don't think it would be much.
Gonzo does the most rentals of everyone anyone that I know. I don't know if he is the one that does the most, but he rents out so many tanks. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, you do say like a few names that constantly come up, so they must have a fair few.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like with the MAF app as well, like I seen on like some people taking screenshots and putting it on Twitter, and it'd be like a profile picture, and then some of them would have like a grenade or a weapon or something like that. Like, what's all that stuff about for someone that hasn't used the app?
Yeah. So basically those are NFTs from our 2054 series. Those are NFTs that we created, and if you earn them by building up cred, and then you can buy a safe. Um, it's 10,000 cred for a safe. You buy a safe. It's like you unlock it and you see what NFT you get. Um, and so it's kind of like random which NFT you get, but each one of those, like each one of those, say the what's it called? It's the one for the profile picture, but the character, the companion, the weapon, all that stuff, they they all have a lineage. Like there's a lot still that's going to come out to this. Timbo, Deadly, and them they've gone like really in depth with this, and like, there's a story behind. Like there's families for each one. There's a story behind each one. Um, but without getting too much into that, those you would earn by getting cred and buying them in our store. And basically, like if you have those, like if you got a 2054 NFT by being one of our early supporters or early adopters of it, they're going to come into play later, and you're going to be glad that you have one of those.
Yeah.
Or
so,
several.
So do they still have like good ones available? Like, are they
Yeah.
one of ones, or you've got?
No, they're not one of ones, but they are like fairly hard to get. I mean, getting 10,000 cred is no easy task. It takes a while. So if you see somebody who has a full profile, like they've grinded to get there.
So I'm guessing the Meditated probably has the best profile then. And
I know he's up there, but like Zimpachi, Boundless, like they grind on another level even above Meditated, I think, as far as just grinding.
So with grinding, you mean like you actually play spider tanks and that gives you credit, like gives you cred in the Mafia guild, is that right? Through the app?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is there any other way to get it, or like is there anything integrated into the app itself, like mini games or anything that you can get cred through, or is it just spider tanks alone?
Yeah, that's I tend to think of everything through Spider Tank's lens just because it's my favorite game. But yeah, actually one of the coolest things in our ecosystem that I think people are completely sleeping on is like if you go to the arcade, there's the Ready Player Earn arcade section, and that's got the cave and stuff like that. You can actually earn cred by participating in the cave, and it's a lot of fun. Like I've gotten into it some. I haven't been able to do it as much as I would like because I'm involved with so many other things. But I see like so many people that are talking about how much they've loved going on this journey of it's basically it's like a mystery game, and you just have to check it out to see it. I mean, it's the doctor is put so much work into that, and it's amazing what all they've built with that.
Cool, man. Well, that's all the questions that I got for that at the moment, I think.
All right, seal it. Oh. I was going to add one thing though. Another way that you can earn cred is participating in the Discord. Scratch that. Scratch that. Never mind. They just told me that that's not a thing recently. So
yeah, well, if you've done that, man, it'll just be spam walls. Like that was the problem with the Discord.
It was a thing at one time, and I need to erase that note in my head.
That's not doing that right now. So the other question that I have, man, like which I actually enjoy the content that you create was the Spider Tanks podcast that you had. So I've noticed that there hasn't been any new episodes. Are you coming out of any soon, or?
Yeah, actually, we've been building a lot for Spider Tanks Esports Show. One of the things like is for the podcast specifically that I'm interested in doing is I want to turn the podcast into, or at least not 100%, but like have like I want to make it like a debate series, because I feel like Spider Tanks needs to have an outlet for some of the kind of drama and controversy that goes on, because it's a very controversial game. Like people, there's money on the line. People have strong opinions about things, and right now there's not really like a good place to discuss these things. So I'm wanting to get the podcast where it's less, less just like me and someone else like talking about topics for the whole time, and I want to feature more members from the community on the podcast, and just like have more people on, get them talking about stuff, because I don't think people want to hear just like one or two people's viewpoints on things. I think other people have viewpoints that are very valid, and people want to hear those too.
Yeah, well, I think like it makes for a more engaging experience, man. If you don't like, if you're super positive about something, it's like I'm not talking about yourself, but there's other content creators that no matter what Gala does or what Spider Tanks does or anything at all, it's just always from the point of view of that they're doing a great job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like since I've been around for a long time, and a lot of new users wouldn't even know, but like there's questions that I have. It's like, the chicken tank was meant to be the OG. The OG tank was meant to get, more victory points per win, because that's why you bought it, essentially. And then, you got version 2 that's essentially paying out the same amount of victory points as version 1. Well, then why even have a version 2? Why not just have spider tanks? And they're all the same version. Do you know what I mean? So like I don't know if these things are going to change. Like the thing that I've found with Gala is that every time I start getting annoyed and every single time I start thinking, fuck this, I'm out, like they end up pulling me back in because then they add something else that I'm interested in, or they correct the things that they said they were going to correct, but it's just not in the time frame that I hope for. But that at the end of the day, man, I'm a community member. I'm not a dev. I'm not a programmer. I'm not making games. Like realistically, I don't know shit other than the user experience. So like these things might take longer than expected, but all we're doing is sitting behind the computer, smacking on the keyboard, like putting out a point when they're building it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's been several times that I've just like in this space, like time is different in this space. Like I swear, there's been several times that I've been like, oh, we've been waiting forever for this, and then I think back and it's like, actually, it was only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just stuff like that. Time just moves
Well,
so fast.
it's like the crypto meme. Like I've been here for 80 years, you know what I mean, in crypto years, because like
Exactly.
it's like time does seem to go really fast. As far as like it feels like you've been around for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
I
two
think,
week.
yeah, like sometimes people are like, oh, how long have you been in crypto? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe over 10, 15 years. And it's like, well, how long ago was Bitcoin even made? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I definitely wasn't around in the super early days of Bitcoin. But yeah, you just fucking like you just forget, man, because you know you're constantly just like waiting for something to happen, and then life moves on, and then you feel like it's taken longer than it actually has.
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
So with like I know that you used to like Townstar, and I'm sure you'd play it again if you had time. Like I know that you're also interested in Mirandus. You're probably one of the
Oh yeah.
like I don't want to give away too much, but you've probably got equivalent to or maybe more fucking as far as Mirandus. What do they call them? They're like the avatars,
Exemplars.
exemplars. There you go. It was coming to
Yeah.
me. It's been a while since I thought about Mirandus, so because I start getting edgy if I start thinking about it too long. Like I just want to play it, you know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
I also don't want it to come out and for it to be shit. Like I want it to be spot on. So if it takes another 2 years, take 2 years and make sure it's the fucking best thing that I've ever seen.
I'm with you on that. And we get to play it in 10 days, don't we? Well, I mean, from when we're recording this, I think it's like May 15th, right? They're having the Mirandus playtest or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, man. Like
So
I said, I haven't really looked into it that much. I
yeah.
sort of, like I don't have the time much anymore. Like I barely even got the time to be in the like Gravy Gang Guild Discord. So like to be in actual Gala and how fast paced that moves, you know what I mean? Like it's too hard to keep up. But
Yeah.
I think it's on the 15th. So I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it. The thing is like I have a bunch of exemplars because I got here late and that was all that was for sale. Like I don't have any like buildings for them to exist in. You know, I'm just gonna have a bunch of exemplars, homeless exemplars just wandering around. I'm just gonna add to the riffraff of Mirandus.
Well, you're gonna have a lot of materium though, which is so you're gonna have a lot of magic. So you can cause a lot of chaos for the people that actually have land deeds.
I'll just be just this homeless elf that just is just like just attacking buildings.
I could imagine you having like a posh profession in the game, man, like a tailor or a goldsmith or something like that. You know what I mean? I
I
could
don't,
see you doing that sort of role.
I'm kind of like hoping. I don't even know if it's possible yet, but like what I was hoping is to like maybe like go gather exotic materials from faraway lands and then come back and then weave them into clothing and like like make magical clothing and stuff like that. Like I think that would be cool. So I have some weavers for that. That's the only like potential plan that I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the only plan that I have is I want to make weapons and armor for the guild. So I sort of thought as a guild leader, that's probably a good start to at least be able to outfit your people to be able to defend themselves and attack. And then I'm hoping that I can chill out in a tavern in my afternoons. But it just really depends, man. Like like how much time in a day am I going to have? Is it going to be a 2 to 3 hours? Like if I'm lucky to be able to make weapons and armor for the guild, and then maybe half an hour in the tavern. Like it's life still moves regardless of
You're
what you want to do.
you're gonna wind up putting everything else in your life on hold, and you're gonna play Mirandus 20 hours a day and sleep 4 hours a day. But
Yeah.
that's probably what's gonna happen.
Well, hopefully you've got direct lending like they're doing on spider tanks, and then that'll make my life a bit easier.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Because
I think it's.
go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
I was just gonna say I think it's funny and kind of telling your mindset of Mirandus, how many like armor stands you got. Like it just shows like where you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna build some armor and some weapons, and we're gonna take over some shit.
Well, the idea, man, was to have a franchise. So, like,
Mm.
if you could have like a a weapon shop. Like, obviously, I've got the weapon shop, armor shop, and then I can't remember what else. I've got a forge in that as well. So I'm hoping to have those in like around Citadels, because that's going to be like your hustle and bustle, fast transactions, all the rest of it. Hopefully, because you've got a lot of turnover of customers. And then I was gonna, like if we're going out to try to take on a cave or something like that, and you're ruining the dexterity of your weapon or whatever it is, and you need to come and sharpen it or get a replacement, well then I'll be right there. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
like I sort of
Yeah,
just want to be everywhere I can be to be able to outfit everyone that's in Gravy Gang. So
gotcha.
that's the goal.
I have no clue what I'm gonna do. But if you need a proud hearth to work at one of your taverns, I'm available.
What's a proud half do, man? I can't even remember what all the exemplars do.
I think they just cook food really fast, and it's very nutritious and filling.
Yeah. Well, I was putting down offers on OpenSea for one of the like the biggest tavern that you could get, but no one would take my offer, and it was like 10,000 Gala less or something when Gala was at its lowest. But I just didn't want to move. I think I was putting down like 80,000 Gala offers on it, and they just wouldn't take it because they wanted like 85 or 90. And I'm like, just
Oh wow.
take the offer, geez.
I think the only buildings I have, I think, are like a tent and a camp. That maybe I may have like a hitching post or something like that, but that's it. Like it's just like very minimal.
Well, you're like me, man. You've given away a lot of stuff as well. Like I had like probably 20 or 30 exemplars, and I reckon I've probably given away 10, because it's like you tell someone about it and they don't really know. And it's like, oh, well, the best way to show them is like set up a wallet, and then, I'll give you this exemplar worth this amount for free. And then, most people are all on board then, because it's like, all right, cool, free. I got a free thing and I've only got to take 15 minutes out of my day to set up a wallet. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I've given away shitloads of stuff to like different people in the different communities, like onboarding them to Gala.
Yeah. And I mean, it's awesome though when you see them like actually get into the game and like really enjoy it though. Like
Yeah.
then it's really worth it.
Well, I think I gave away too many of my spider tanks too early, because some of them I was watching the OpenSea and they played it for like maybe a week and then they sold them.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool, man, thanks. Lucky I was
Wow.
only giving away low spec stuff though, like that you could probably buy for $100 or something in OpenSea.
Well,
So
if I've ever given someone something, I just consider it a gift anyway. I don't care what they do with it afterwards.
yeah, that's fair enough, man. I know back in the day, man, like you had that many exemplars that you could have bought one of the Mirandus lanterns. As far as with
Oh,
your
the lantern?
Mirandus.
Yeah. What I think I could have done it, but it would have just it would have used like all my materium or something like that. And I think I also I could only afford it at like tiers like 1 and 2, and then past that, um, I wouldn't have been able to. It was something like that. But I will say on the Goblin playtest, when it was just completely dark on that one, there would be like one person that had a lantern, and it was just so insanely useful because you couldn't do anything else unless that person was around, that like it made me really really wish that I would have bought one of those when I could afford it.
Well, I think there's certain exemplars that have specific skills to be able to see at night and all the rest of it as well, like seeing infrared and all that as well. I can't remember exactly the abilities, but like I've only got like I think it's like a dwarf that's good for blacksmithing. I can't remember what he's actually called. And then I've pretty much just got like every single one of the different exemplars for the humans. I haven't touched any of the elves or orcs or the what are they called? Like the pure blood elves or whatever. I think there's half
uh
bloods and pure blood ones.
I don't know. I don't know about that. There's you talking about the orcs?
Well, you've got the pure blood elves. They're the ones with like the highest tier. They're like ancient, and then you've got like the half human, half elves. I think they're called halflings.
Oh, halflings. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So they're half and half, I think. And
Oh, never thought of it that way. Half and half. Yeah,
yeah, I think
that
they're
makes sense.
half elf,
Halflings.
half human. I could be wrong. Maybe there's something else. But yeah. Other than that, man, like, what other games are you looking forward to other than Mirandus?
To be honest with you, like those are the two that have really captivated me. Now Grit does look really cool. I've played it and it is cool, but I just suck at those kind of games. Any kind of like first person shooter game, like where you are aiming like that, I don't know, like I'm just not great at those. So I always get destroyed every time I play Grit. Um, but that one looks really fun, and that there's like a soccer game that they leaked. That that one seems like it might be really fun. Um, as far I'm kind of weird about video games. Like most video games that come out, I don't really get that interested in. Like the kind of like the ones that get into like real like for instance like Last Expedition. I think that looks like a amazingly quality game, but it's just not my personal type of game that I like to play. Like there's remember when we used to play was it Borderlands we used to play together?
Yeah, yeah. We played Borderlands for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like I would tell you, I would just be like, there's so much going on and it just like overwhelms me. There's like a billion different things on the screen. It's sort of like what I like about Spider Tanks is that it's a very simple game and it's just like I can just chill and just play it. Borderlands is just constantly just like putting stuff like look here, you know, it's
Well, it's all about like engagement farming, isn't it? Like, I've been playing
yeah.
Fortnite with my son, man. Like, sometimes you go on a part of a map and you might be playing with like two randos as well. So you're a full squad and there's like, 20 people there and it's just mayhem. And it's like, fuck, like you lose track of where you are and what you're doing and all the rest of it. It's just
Yeah.
too much. Like,
I don't play Fortnite.
maybe it's our age, man. Like, you got to
It's
start
what it
like
is. We're
five or
just
six.
boomers.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
what it is. Like like for me, like with those games, like the first person or the shooters in general for Gala, like I'd like to invest in that ecosystem as well, or at least participate in it if people don't like the word invest. But like I really want to see why that game's gonna last a long time. Like, is there
Mhm.
gonna be updates? Like, what's the guarantee? Is there going to be missions like they got in Spider Tanks? Is there going to be some form of, like, I don't know how you do it with crypto. Like, I'm assuming you could, but you'd want to make sure that gas was low, or like maybe like Gala have been its own blockchain might help to have some sort of like a, I can't remember what it's called, man. It's like a battle chest reward system sort of thing. Like Fortnite's got a thing where like as you level up and collect points and stuff, you get like free different outfits and
Like
free.
a battle pass.
Yeah, yeah, like a battle pass. Like if they done
Yeah.
something like that, I think it could last, but they'd want to be like constantly updating it because it's just one of those genres that don't really last for that long of time,
Mhm.
unless if it's like Grid or something like that, where it's like a battle royale.
Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about for Last Expedition for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
battle
for
pass thing.
last
Yeah, yeah.
expedition.
That's I've actually for Spider Tanks, I've actually heard that they're at least had considered an idea like that. I don't. I would assume they might be working on something like that, just as a guess. Um, I know what you mean. Like that would really add something extra to Last Expedition, that type of game.
Yeah. And even like with spider tanks, I don't like you could do it. I don't think you have to though. Like I think the missions are enough. Like just
Mhm.
getting those components, having the ability to upgrade your stuff, like that's probably the biggest deal. You know what I mean? Like because like if you got a topper or something for free, like you can't even rent that out anyway. So like, and how many of those toppers do you want to have in your inventory yourself? Like, is it just to sell on OpenSea and then it's it doesn't have any rarity to it at all because everyone's got one, so it's not really worth anything anyway. Do you get what I mean? Like,
They have. I'm pretty sure that they've leaked or at least hinted that toppers might be upgradable in the future. I remember them leaking an image that showed it like cat ears and then like a fancier set of cat ears and then like the crown and then a fancier crown. So I would assume that there might be plans to be able to upgrade toppers. I don't know if skins, but at least toppers. I don't know if they're still considering that, but I'm pretty sure they leaked that at one point.
Well, the skin's already given you like a pretty massive buff anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd hate to come across like an overloaded skin or something like that with like maxed out stats.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like
Yeah.
impossible to be able to beat it. You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
as far as matchmaking and stuff's concerned, man, and like the fact that they sort of want spider tanks to be an esport, like as far as the esports when they're doing those events, do you think that they'd have to come out with essentially tanks like that are equivalent to like max level 30, like perfects? Like, so you don't have someone that's sort of using a tank that they only got excellence in comparison to perfect, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of back and forth that's gone. I can even tell uh like when they're thinking about the game, like it's I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like basically the debate is, should esports sh- should they just be like where everyone's all the same level, or should it be like where, if you have the better tank, then you do have a little bit of an advantage. I personally think that esports should just be able for anyone to participate. Like where you don't have to have a $50,000 tank to be able to be the best. I think that anyone should be able to prove with skill that they are the best. With so I hope that in the future we'll see sort of like an esports tournament system that also allows you to play all tanks at whatever level that you want. Um, so right now, you can say equalized levels and it puts everything at 0. But lots of, especially like OG players, hate playing level 0 because it's so slow. It's like taxing, just, crawling across the map. And it's not as fun to watch either. So, say you could be like, okay, we're going to have a level 24 tournament or something like that, or ancient 30 tournament or something like that. So everybody has access to whatever weapon they want and at whatever level they want and can equalize them all. I personally, I think that's the way to go for esports.
Yeah. What I want to say, man, like, and like I hope that they do it. Like some of the guilds are the biggest players in spider tanks. What I'd like to see is like all it is for cosmetic reasons only. Like I'd love to see like a MAF skin in the store that anyone can buy. It costs like 100 in Gala, and all it does is makes the skin that you're already using look like the mafia, like the mafia skin. You know what I mean? So it adds,
That would be really cool.
yeah. So it adds no value like to the actual game itself other than cosmetics, and it stacks on a skin. Because like if I could do
I thought
that,
about that.
well, it'd get away from the tags as well, man. Like you wouldn't have like, glitch through gaming GGG or, your name with math.
Yeah.
Like it would cut down on the names, which would make the leaderboard look a bit more tidy. But it would also, like when you're playing the game, you'd say, oh, well, that's the Mafia. We know that skin. That's Gravy Gang Guild. So like if they had a prerequisite, so it's not just pretty much covering up the whole store, because obviously they're going to have to invest their time into making, the actual skin itself, what it's going to look like. Well, it could be like, 250 or 300 members. Or how many people do you have over 50 people in your guild that play spider tanks? And then if you meet
Right.
those prerequisites, well, then they will take their time to make the skin for it. And then just have it as 100 Gala that goes straight to the spider tank devs for their time. And, like it's just for cosmetic reasons only.
I really like that idea of stackable cosmetic skins that you could combine with a skin that has stats on it. So like
Yeah.
you could be playing like arcane, but it would be like a MAF skin or something like that. Some other like visually looking.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be cool,
I
man.
love that idea.
Well,
I hope they do that.
yeah, I hope they do too. So I'm hoping that they actually listen and they actually go, oh, yeah, that sounds all right, and then actually do it. Because I know that Gravy Gang Guild would like to have a skin, and I'm sure Math would too. And it would make it a lot, I don't know, it would make it a lot better in game. Like knowing, oh shit, we actually come up against a full Math team. You know what I mean? Like gives that
Yeah.
competitive nature, especially if you're rolling out with your own guild.
Yeah. I mean, I would buy a skin of all the guilds that I support, which is pretty much all of them. because
Yeah,
you
well,
might
you
want
can
to go
just
incognito, play Gravy Gang or BTB or something. One match under an alt.
So who do you think at the moment, man, is the like has the biggest user base as far as a guild in Spider Tank? So it'd have to be MAF, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what if the answer is Moth, that would be running off of kind of like old energy of being a guild, like because if you might have noticed some of like the more prominent people in Moth have taken Moth out of their name. And I've had several people ask me like did you get kicked out of Moth or something like that? Because that just plays just Evenwave, and it's the reason is just because we're not trying to be a guild anymore. We're not sponsoring teams. We're just trying to be more of a neutral party, and it'll make sense more whenever things like the MEL get here. I think people will see the vision. It'll be easier to see them.
I don't know how long we've been talking to, man. Like this thing, like it just says recording, doesn't give me a time at all. But I'm
Oh, you
pretty
mean like on
sure.
here? I
Yeah,
have no clue. It's been at least 2 hours, right?
I don't know, man. I think maybe an hour or so. But
Hmm.
I think we'll just say that we're coming up on the hour anyway, because I've got no idea. And we'll end it now, man, if you don't mind, and if you don't mind hanging around for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks everyone for watching anyway, and you've got to meet Evenwave. So for the first time, probably in face.
Thanks for having me on, man.
No, no rose, man.